Ruth Maguire, followed by Mary Fee.
Presiding Officer, I thank Emma Harper for securing this important debate on World AIDS Day and giving us the opportunity to come together across the Chamber and show support for people living with HIV and to commemorate those who have died from an AIDS-related illness. I'd like to use my time today to speak about women and HIV and give particular mention to the excellent report by the Terence Higgins Trust, Women, HIV Invisible No Longer. I'm also grateful to Waverley Care for their briefing around the work of the African Health Project. Waverley Care's African Health Project was established in 2003 to meet the needs of Scotland's growing African population. The project is there to provide information, advice and support to Africans living in Scotland. And despite a lack of a specific figure for Scotland, we know that HIV disproportionately affects African communities and that late diagnosis, which can lead to health complications, is common. These inequalities are largely driven by HIV stigma and a lack of awareness about the condition, which can sometimes be reinforced by cultural and religious beliefs. For Africans living with HIV, this stigma can lead to isolation from the community, a breakdown of relationships, and negative impacts on their physical and mental health. In particular, the project aims to improve health and well-being and to support people to access healthcare services, including HIV treatment and care. Waverley Care work closely with community groups, businesses and churches to raise awareness of HIV and to promote sexual health. This includes making condoms freely available in community venues in areas where they work alongside offering testing for HIV, hepatitis B and hepatitis C. Waverley Care also support people with other issues affecting the African community, including immigration, housing, managing money and employment. Presiding Officer, women make up 1/3 of all people living with HIV and were 1/4 of new HIV diagnoses in 2016. Despite this, I think it's fair to say that women living with HIV have not been particularly visible in the narrative and the response to HIV in the UK, and that we don't know very much about what it means to be a woman living with HIV in Scotland. From my constituency work and as reported in the Women HIV Invisible No Longer, we do know that HIV services that do exist are rarely designed with women in mind. People living with and affected by HIV are not a homogenous group, and to treat them as such will result in services that don't meet their needs and, worse, could risk not reaching those for whom the safety net already has massive holes. It's estimated that 1,300 women are living with undiagnosed HIV. Improving rates of early diagnosis is critical both for individual and public health, and HIV testing is key to achieving this. And I would echo Emma Harper's call for everybody to know their HIV status. If diagnosed early and on effective treatments, people with HIV can live a normal life expectancy. When diagnosed at a late stage, if significant damage to the immune system has already occurred, people have poorer health outcomes and potentially a much reduced life expectancy. Furthermore, if someone is unaware of their HIV status and not on treatment, then it's much more likely that they will unknowingly pass on HIV to others. The HIV prevention drug PrEP is currently almost exclusively accessed by men. In the first 8 months that PrEP was available on the NHS in Scotland, only 10 out of 1,299 people to access the drug were women. Waverley Care have told me that 1 in 21 heterosexual African women in Scotland are living with HIV, and we know that 1/3 of all people living with HIV are women. So in closing, can I ask the Scottish Government what is being done to redress the imbalance of access to the drug? And can I also offer to bring together interested parties to assist the Government in that work, if it would be helpful? Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Mary Fee.